Grand evening. Hi, my name is Leonard Munson, the Psychic Astrologer. My website is readingsbyleonardmunson.net. The weekly overview, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, from May the 1st to the 8th, 2025. Let's talk about your career and employment and the changes that you're going to make to move forward in that career with a promotion and a raise, and going back to school for additional training or new career period. Gemini, your solar sun is in the 12th house. The 12th house represents Pisces. Pisces is the oldest part of the astrological wheel. It has all the combination of all the signs. It is the house of letting go, ending, closure. So, ending, closure. So some of you are going definitely to leave the job that you have and move into a different career. Some of you are going to open up your own business. It could have been a side hustle that's starting to really blossom. Some of you are going to retire, and this side hustle is going to work very good for you. It may have something to do with using your voice, public speaking, voice therapy, teaching people how to overcome stuttering, speech therapy, radio, television, movies, announcements, or using your voice to sell products. Anything to do with any form of communication, directly or indirectly, Gemini. Anything to do with transportation, mechanical things, anything to do with writing, publishing, investigation, research, advertisement, anything to do with the luxury items, anything to do with beauty industry, anything to do with finances, anything to do with possessions, anything to do with children, arts, entertainment, anything to do with, like, you may open up your daycare center, anything to teach children who may have issues with learning, tutoring, things in those areas. Definitely higher education. Anything to do with foreigners, teaching another language to people. Setting up your own travel agency or tour guide agency. Instructing people of different historical sites and the history behind it. Anything to do with emotional issues or trauma that people are still holding on to through counseling, therapy, psychiatrists, life coach. Anything to do with an organization that's helping people that needs to be sent in the right direction to help them to get the right agency and the assistance that they need. Anything to do with intimacy blockage. People that have intimacy problems because of blockage from a childhood trauma. And this is causing them not to enjoy their intimacy. Anything in that area, Gemini. The next sign is Libra. Libra, your solar sun is in the 11th house. No, correct. The 8th house. The 8th house deals with the house of abundance, prosperity, infinity, strength, success, intimacy, share resources, death and resurrection, rising from the ashes, transformation and change. The 8th house ruling planet is Mars. So anything to do with some issues with children, working with children that has issues. And daycare center. Maybe you're going to open up your own daycare center, or you want to go back to school to get certification dealing with children. Anything to do with children being a tutor. Anything doing with children that have speech problem, speech therapy. Anything to do with arts and entertainment. Also, anything to do with organizations that children need to get assistance. Directing them into the right area for maybe meals. after school activity, things in that Libra. Anything to do with your voice, speaking, speech therapy, announcement, television, radio, and even acting. Anything to do with all forms of communication, whether it's spoken, whether it's felt, sign languages, okay, or directly or indirectly. Anything to do with any form of transportation, mechanical things, publishing, writing, anything to do with advertisement, anything to do with investigation and research, and secondary education. Anything to do with the luxury things, the luxury items, learning how to make them, and perfecting a craft. Anything to do with real estate, finances. Higher education, so some of you are going back to school to get a higher education and a new career. Anything to do with speaking a foreign language, or teaching people foreign language, or open up a traveling agency, or open up a tour guide agency, learning the history of the historical sites and sending people out there to tell the people. Anything to do with intimacy. People are blocked because of prior problem with intimacy. So they can't perform because there's a trauma there that's blocking them. So anything to do with that. The next sign is Aquarius. Aquarius, your solar sun is in the 4th house. The 4th house is Cancer. It deals with roots, foundation, home, security, and women in your life. Okay, the 4th house ruling planet is the moon. The moon deals with the emotions. It deals with releasing things coming to a head. Things that have been withheld from you about emotional issues that you might have been blaming yourself for. So anything to do with your voice, public speaking, life coach, instructing, announcement, television, radio, acting, anything to do with any form of communication, writing, publishing, etc. Anything to do with transportation, mechanical things, anything to do with research, investigation, advertisement, etc. Anything to do with the luxury industry, anything to do with beauty, anything to do with real estate, finances, anything to do with definitely higher education, teaching a foreign language, open up a travel agency, or running a travel agency, or open up a tour guide agency and instructing tour guides to go out and give you the historical aspect of Aquarius of what these sites are about. Anything to do with emotional trauma and issues that people are holding on, therapists, counselors, psychiatrists, life coach. Anything to do with the organization and groups that are sending people to get the resources that they need. You might be opening this up for yourself, or getting a promotion to be a supervisor or director. Anything doing with intimacy, again, trauma that people cannot perform intimacy because some kind of act that was caused to them, they're blocking them to freely perform the intimacy act because of these traumas, and they need to release it. So again, a therapist, a life coach, a counselor, things in those areas, Aquarius. Anything to do with foreign culture, foreign travel, working for foreign airlines, arranging traveling for groups and organizations. Anything to do with construction, the material of the construction. Being a site constructor, getting that promotion, or going back to school to learn how to use the logistics of a